Inflation cannot be stopped. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. If you look at what has happened just recently, over the past couple of years, you have noticed one very consistent trend. And that is, quite frankly, that they are unwilling to acknowledge the truth. But if you don't know the truth, if you put your head in the sand, you're never going to be able to actually thrive and prosper. So that's what we'll talk about today. We're going to look at the reality of the situation and what you can do about it. Without some sort of catastrophic event, you're not going to be able to get inflation to come down to normal levels. They can say that the inflation rate is one thing or another, but let's be honest. Look at real estate. We'll talk about that today at record levels. Look at oil prices. Look at food prices. Nothing seems to go down. And while we could have fluctuations over the longer term, our currency is being devalued. And that's the key. It's the currency itself that's losing value. A bar of gold is always one bar of gold. Didn't get any better, didn't get any worse. But you have the consistent loss of purchasing power of our fiat currencies. And that's why it's important to take those fiat currencies and convert them into something real. Make that currency move. That's the key. People need to realize that. You've got to make that currency move, all right? When you look at home prices and cars and services and food, all these things are up. And if you're not keeping up with it, well, then you will fall behind. Demand destruction has yet to take hold. I know they said, okay, interest rates are going to go high. That's going to create demand destruction. Hasn't happened, at least not yet. We can see it in some areas, but not as significant as we were told that this would be at these current rates. So I'm going to take you through right now where we're going to look at all of these different prices and things that have gone up. And I want to talk about a few individuals, big time individuals, and what they had to say about interest rates getting much higher. Here we go. You can look at it. Jamie Dimon warns that the Fed could still raise interest rates sharply from here. Now, this is coming from one individual. Of course, you could take it for what it is. I think it's important not to believe everything he says. There's going to be an agenda behind it, but he is correct in that there could still be some more. And he's not the only one. You see, it's not just JP Morgan that we should be paying attention to. What about Neel Kashkari at the Fed? Sees a 40% chance of meaningfully higher interest rates. Interesting. You don't hear that every day, right? Well, there's Kashkari. You knew him from the financial crisis. He's said a lot of interesting things along the way. The case supporting the scenario is that most of the disinflationary gains we have observed to date have been due to supply side factors, such as workers re-entering the labor force and supply chains resolving, rather than monetary policy restrained demand. Policy has tightened a lot. Is it enough? Okay. And so they suggest that, maybe that is not the case, right? How tight is the policy right now? If policy were truly tight, would we observe such robust activity? And so we can expect, based on what he's saying, that they're not done yet. They've got to hike another time in this year, and maybe that means even next year too. I don't know. I really don't. But I can tell you that when we see these things of higher interest rates, it does have a material impact on you, the individual. Why? Well, not just your credit card borrowing and, of course, your mortgages and so on, but the companies that you work for are somehow tied to debt, whether it's the building that's currently being leased out and maybe mortgaged off. It's the same thing with the big corporations and how they take on debt on an extreme scale. Believe me, this is happening. When they're purchasing equipment, they may do that with debt as well. They may be funding their expansion on debt. Debt is the tool that they're using in basically every case. It's not cash. It's not like you and we would want to buy something. Okay, do I have enough in my bank account? Yes. No, that's not how they work. It's a matter of, hey, how much debt can we borrow? The big corporations, they use the corporate debt market. All right. Just like the government can just issue some debt, the big corporations can do the same thing. and they have investors that are willing to buy it up. Nobody wants to buy your debt. Nobody wants to buy my debt, but they'll do that with the corporations. And they will do that, of course, with the country as a whole. And that just shows us that debt is the name of the game. But when debt becomes too expensive, you start to throw off this easy money policy that they've been used to, and you have ramifications. And we are seeing some of that today. Look at this. Australian inflation quickens, keeping rate hike in play. My friends in Australia, I know I have those in Australia and New Zealand. And these places here, we are seeing after years and years of house price increases, the inflation finally has shown itself in the statistics. And here we go. People can't pay their bills. It's a simple matter of fact. And you've got the problems that have been going on for a while. Inflation is a very devastating tool that's being used against us. Home prices in the US hit record high, erasing the recent decline. And you could look at that in the green line there, showing us the US National Home Price Index going up again and beating its previous high after a slight decline. I know there's a lot of people talking about how the prices of homes will be declining significantly, and as a result, you are going to have discounts. So just ready and wait, just subscribe, and then you're going to know exactly when the prices crash, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. I don't know what kind of services those people are trying to sell you, but it doesn't happen like that, okay? You need a catastrophe to bring these down because they have enabled, with the easy monetary policies for such a long time, and of course the massive risk taking, they have enabled this to go on, and they're not building enough. That's very clear. In most cities, there's only so much. Look at how they restrict the building. They do zoning in certain areas. No, you can't have that many homes, even though they need it. But that's what they do. And this is the way that they can, of course, make these things unaffordable for the middle class. That is very important, okay? For those controlling everybody else, you want unaffordability, because when people are struggling, then they can't rise up. As I record this video, we're looking at the price of oil at $91 a barrel for WTI, coming closer and closer and closer to $100 a barrel. All right, unbelievable when I see this. I mean, just look. You could see oil could hit $150, sending shock through the system. This is according to the top shale CEO. I don't know exactly where it will get to, but according to the poll that I did, my subscribers believe not only is $100 possible, we're very close, but $150 is close, is potential as well. And so that means that you're going to have gasoline prices at the record high they have ever been. That means transportation costs will be the highest they've ever been. That means people can't go where they need to go. So that means a slower economy. Yes, that could slow things down. But does it mean your house price is going to crash? Does that mean your stock prices are going to crash? Not necessarily. Okay, you got to understand that there's always going to be supply and demand fundamentals that we should be aware of. And just because one thing or another occurs, and we've seen that before, that doesn't necessarily equate. What we can expect, let me be clear about what I'm saying here, is that when we start to see demand destruction take hold, which I'm not arguing against, we can see absolutely how they will fuel this inflationary fire. They will do this as fast as humanly possible, and they will drive the prices of everything up. If you think it's bad today, all of my history indicates that they will do this to, 10 times, 100 times worse than anything we could ever experience. This is what we need to be aware of. And I'll tell you some more about that. Look, if you want like the stock information, if you want to know what you got to do, we'll talk about some of that in a second. Seeking Alpha is an interesting thing to check out. I had this page over here. You can get a little bit more detail. I will link it at the top of the description. So just click there and you're going to know more about how to invest in these kind of things when these news articles pop up. It's like, okay, what stocks do I invest in? Check out Seeking Alpha right now. The $50 discount ends at the end of this month. I tried to get the best deal I could for you. So it's in the description. Check it out. Now, what the future has in store is not all positive, and I want to make that clear, okay? But we got to do what we can. Citi is upgrading some of its services for institutional clients using blockchain technology. The banking giant introduced Citi token services on Monday, which will tokenize clients' deposits so that they can be sent anywhere in the world instantly. If you're a large multinational client where you have multiple bank accounts in multiple different regions across the borders and you keep buffers in cash in each regions, it's really inefficient use of cash. If it's 5 p.m. in the US, 5 a.m. in Singapore, you need to get the money there. You can send it immediately within seconds. So initially when I heard about this, I said, no, that's not possible. It's not real. It's like some fake article. That's from CNBC. Okay. And so that's what we're seeing right now. We're going to see CBDCs. We are going to see these digital currencies take hold. And the use of cash will decline further and further and further, not just from individuals, not just from a younger audience, not just for those who love WorldCoin scanning their eyeballs. It's going to be from the businesses that say it is too expensive. There's so much theft going on. There's robberies, crime, all these things. We don't want to deal with cash anymore. We don't want it in we want to be cashless. And I understand why. So beware of that. All right. Mind-blowing video shows Elon Musk's humanoid robot doing yoga with impressive balance and coordination. I saw this very interesting video of what they did here. You can look at the fingers and the way that they're moving. It shows extreme dexterity. That's the way I see it. Yes, it can find the blue goes in the blue, the green goes in the green. Yeah, but I'm just looking at the dexterity of the robot itself, and I was extremely impressed. You've seen the Boston Dynamics ones and what they've done. They could jump, they could flip, all that stuff. Yes, but the dexterity, how nimble they are. And this robot, like whenever they did that presentation not that long ago, it was like, they couldn't do anything. But now already they can move. So watch out. Robots taking over CBDCs, digital currencies coming in hot and heavy. You're looking at this. Iconic British car firm will discontinue production of all diesel and petrol motors in the biggest change in history. When you know that like Rolls-Royce is doing this, you know that they're going for it. Whether or not you like it, whether you hate it, whatever. By 2030, Rolls-Royce is phasing these all out. All the manufacturers, for the most part, phasing out this. They're going to electric vehicles. Take that as a note. You see, they're telling you the future right now, 2030, electric vehicles. What do electric vehicles use a lot of? Right? We need to start, so now what do I invest in? Okay, whether or not you like it, I'm telling you. Target closes 9 stores in response to retail theft, adds locked cases in some stores. This is terrible to see what has happened, okay? And so that's just one thing. But what can you do about this? We've got CBDCs, we've got increased crime, we've got all of these things that I've just spoken about happening right before our very eyes. So take some action. I wanted to just give you a few things. Invest in the companies that will benefit from massive government spending. The infrastructure projects that are taking hold right now are being talked about. That's one thing, okay? Infrastructure, where are they spending the billions and the trillions? They're going to do it. Who stands to gain? All right, so we can look at infrastructure directly. You could see the expansion of war, and I'm not a fan of that. The moral aspect of that, I think it's uninvestable. But some people say, no, I'm not. I don't have any morals around what I'll invest in. So if you know that, and of course they're expanding wars, you can get into that, as well as green energy. So for green energy, if you consider nuclear to be green, which they're going to probably label it as that, that would be uranium. So uranium is a good play in that case. If you believe that, they're going to put the billions and trillions in there globally, nuclear. because they need that shortfall to be taken care of. And energy right now, they're having problems. Look at all these places. Oh, we got brownouts, we got blackouts, we don't have enough for the grid. How are they going to power all of these electric vehicles? How are they going to charge them up? The current grid can't do that. Right now, we're extracting a resource from one place, oil, we turn it into gasoline, all that's done over here, and then we move it to the gas station near you so that you can get your car, you can move that around. When they have to ship products from one place, from Mexico all the way to Canada, how do they do that? Okay, they get the diesel, they put it in, okay, and so on. But now if you're just, everything is on the grid. I charge my vehicle right here. I got to use the light, everything, the energy all right here locally. That puts an additional strain. It would be impossible. Right now, not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. They have to fix that. Okay. So I hope that was helpful to you and giving you some of the signs. I think it's important for a lot of people to just get that in their heads of the things that are changing. You can see the writing on the wall. It's very clear. Okay. Look at this. This is Compass. This is your first step. If you're like, where do I begin? Where do I start? How do I do all these things? What about financial education? It's so complex. I'm just going to go to YouTube. No, go to Compass. It's completely free. Totally free. All you got to do is go to themoneygps.com, click on Compass, and you're brought to this. And then you just go one video at a time all the way through, and you will have more financial education in 20 minutes than the average person will get in their entire lifetime. It's a simple matter of fact. Go there, start there first, themoneygps.com. I want to see you there. Let me know what you think. Comment of the day. Really something interesting. Check this out, okay? Here in Kenya, we were shielded from the previous global recession because we are a mostly cash economy. But this time around, our government has decided to increase taxes on everything, including fuel. All this, clear public debt, and yet they take out loans to cover recurrent expenditure. They've taken away subsidies, defunded the loans of social welfare programs. They've borrowed so much in local banks. The president on campaign mode, tours the world in private jets, spends his time in the top SUVs, so on and so forth. Thank you very much for your comment. This is what I have to say. Look, these people right here, they don't care. They don't care about you. This is the way it goes. Time and time again, the government is going to do whatever they think is right, and it will not benefit you. But what I say is take that information and see how you can gain from it, whether that's an investor or you're going to position yourself in a way that you're going to shield yourself as a result of the actions that are being taken place today. We need to thrive, we need to prosper, and I want to see you in that position. I don't want to see you suffering. I want to see you doing well. If you agree with me, if you think that you want to see a brighter future, hit that thumbs up button. Okay, you are one of those in this community where we try to lift each other up. I want to thank you for that. And of course, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.